So I squozed some answers out of Mr. MB3 through the super chat. And when I'm referring to the video that he made showing the clockwise rotation of sunspots, these images are pertinent so that you know what we're talking about. The image on the left was taken at 7 a.m. The image on the right was taken at 4 p.m. You can see the image on the left is below the 9 o'clock position. And the image on the right, where the line of sunspots is up and to the right, they're at about the 1:30, maybe even 2 o'clock position. That's way over 90 degrees within 9 hours. 10 days prior or later, he did the same thing. Showed a photo that was taken at 6 a.m. where that line of sunspots is down near the 7 o'clock position. At 6 a.m. on the left. And by 4 p.m., 10 hours later, they're up there at about the 11 o'clock position. And these he put on a video that he titled, well, this was the thumbnail of that video, Earth Has Tilted. And if you listen to his answers, you can hear the yes in his reply when I ask him, is this related to geophysical pole shift? Listen for the yes, knowing that he knows damn well the axis of the Earth is tilted, and then we'll go over some of the other ways in which he shows this and answers, including the light line of sunrise crossing the face of the Earth at a 45-degree angle, the sun rising at 3:25 a.m. And my next question on a future video will be referencing another one of his past videos where he once again acknowledged the change in our perspective due to the Earth is what creates the appearance of the moon rotation. So here's the super chat that he's about to answer regarding a possible geophysical pole shift and the SMOC reversal. Your video with the title and thumbnail, Earth Has Tilted, shows sunspots rotating clockwise over 90 degrees within 9 hours. Could this be due to geophysical pole shift?
This and some more ominous. In fact, the last photo on the home page of the website that I had up for a week, I got the website fixed, by the way, as you all well know. It was something very similar to this. So I'm getting a lot of this type of stuff. We saw action out of Southern Oregon that looked very similar to this.
Note the person Gemini Mama who says he just had a video talking about it only being geomagnetic. She heard him say the exact opposite of what he actually said. That was on my last video I uploaded. We'll go over that again when someone asked him, could the SMOC, the Southern Meridional Overturning Current of the ocean, reversing be due to pole shift? And he said, I thought about that for a minute, and then I put it out of my mind just as quickly, because that would have to mean it's a physical pole shift, and we don't want nothing to do with that, because a magnetic pole shift wouldn't have the horsepower to shift the Atlantic Ocean. And then he moved on. And he repeats the same exact thing in one of the upcoming responses I'll show you to another question I asked, where we don't want to think about that because the implications, the ramifications of a physical pole shift, including crustal displacement, is more than we can handle. If it's a magnetic pole shift, we can do certain things to mitigate the solar radiation and deal with the weather changes, but physical pole shift, we don't even want to think about that. She heard him say the exact opposite of what he actually said, that it could not be due to a geomagnetic pole shift. It would have to be a physical pole shift that accounts for the reversal of the Southern Meridional Overturning Current in the ocean. We'll go over that more later. Listen for the yes, but he words it in such a way that people like her can walk away hearing what she wants to hear.
For this type of activity. Not necessarily Southern Oregon, but it's not out of the question by any means. Ominous skies in Oklahoma. Hey, Jeff, thank you for the super chat regarding possible geophysical pole shift. Good Lord, we hope that doesn't happen. The SMOC reversal, your video with the title and thumbnail, Earth Has Tilted, shows sunspots rotating clockwise over 90 degrees within 9 hours. Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah, you're right. Man, your memory is incredible. And I do remember the video you're talking about and the sunspots moving across the surface of the sun. Yes, that does have something to specifically do with the rotation of the Earth. You can look at the sunspots. If you have a solar filter, I actually have one right up there in the closet. It's just a Lincoln welding glass. You can get creative and you can use things safely. If a welding glass is good enough for a welder to do welding, then you can use it to look at the sun. I've taken hundreds of pictures of the sun using a number 10 Lincoln welding glass. Take pictures, especially if we have a lot of sunspot activity. And Jeff, your memory, you got the best memory on earth. And thank you for the super chat. I want to show you guys something here real quick. Where are we at? Okay, that's the coronal hole. Looking at the Earth-facing side of the sun. Right now, there's not a whole lot of activity, but here is an experiment you can do. I've done it. I've seen other guys do it. A guy by the name of, he was from Connecticut, used to send me pictures of the sun and sunspots all the time. I'll think of his name here in a minute. Jeff Snyder would remember. That guy doesn't forget anything. But yes, Jeff, you're right. The sunspots in the morning from our view on Earth may start out at if we're looking at the sun and the sun is a clock, hypothetically, like this sunspot here, starting off at the 10 o'clock position. Well, if we see it at the 10 o'clock position from Earth at, say, 8 o'clock in the morning, by 5 o'clock at night, that sunspot's going to be up near the top of the sun. But if it changes more drastically, then that's a normal change. It's going to look like it moved, but if it moves more than that, like the video that Jeff's talking about, Jeff, you have a photographic memory. If they move more than that, then yeah, that would imply some sort of possible geophysical reversal, and we don't even want to put that in the universe. We definitely don't want any part of a geophysical reversal. Absolutely not. But yeah, sunspots do change. Our perspective of the sunspots change from the surface of the Earth throughout the course of the day. Okay, I've got my little handy dandy.
Here's the next question I ask him, where once again he confirms the light line moving across the face of the Earth is indicative of a geophysical pole shift. That means the axis of the Earth has changed. Hold on, I'm going to turn those notifications off. And after we listen to his answer, I'm going to show you the videos that I'm referring to that he confirms, yes, this would indicate the axis of the Earth has tilted.
Next video, the CO2 along the north, the man with the plan, yeah, there's CO2 all through here. CO2's gone up and the salinity's gone up. So that's verifiable. Why they would say it was false is beyond me. I think they're just trying to get attention. I don't know. Thank you, Jeff, for the super chat. You showed satellite imagery of the sunrise shadow line moving across the face of the Earth at a 45-degree angle, and videos of sunrise at 3:20. Yes, I did. Could this be due to geophysics? Ah, Jeff, you are a smart man. Yes, you're exactly right, Jeff Snyder, too. That is an excellent question, and thank you for the super chat. Yes, of course. When the light angles change, that's another story that's just waiting to be told. And an observant man like you, everybody in this chat's observant. That would be a telltale sign that there's an unusual motion in the ocean. The Earth is moving a little bit different. If your light angles are showing up at rogue times at like 3:25 in the morning, at an odd angle, then that's definitely an indication that there's something going on, at least with the rotation and the Earth's axis. Could it be geophysical, magnetic? We don't want to talk about that because we don't want that to ever happen. At least not why any of us are here. We don't want that to ever happen. That would not be a good day. I think we would probably survive a magnetic pole shift. I don't see any reason why we wouldn't. If we can avoid the major fluctuation in ultraviolet radiation, I think that would be the biggest problem. And then, of course, maybe some technical issues here and there with lights and satellites and the power grids. A geophysical pole shift? That's an entirely different story there, guys. Wow, we don't want that to ever happen. No. But you know what? Ice cores and just core samples in general that they've taken from not only Antarctica, they've taken plenty of samples from Greenland and other places around the world. And those core samples also tell a story. They tell a story about the history of the Earth. and they see the polarities change every, tens of thousands of years, and that implies a magnetic polarity. They've also found crustal displacement, so that would imply, like our friend Jeff Snyder too, who has a photographic memory, would imply geophysical magnetic displacement. That would be crustal displacement, tsunamis all over the earth. It would be a complete reset. Wouldn't be a good day. So we don't want to see that day, and we don't ever want to see that day, at least not any time in the next, say, million years. How's that sound? All right, guys, I've gone through everything.
And here's the next video that I'm going to ask him about. A video that he made, it will be 7 years old this August. He made it in August of 2018. And it too shows the appearance of rotation in the moon is due to a change in our perspective. It's not the moon that's rotating clockwise. It's not the sun that's rotating clockwise. It's not the three kings of Orion's belt that you can also see rotate clockwise, rising in a vertical line and setting horizontally on the other horizon. It is the Earth's position that has changed. Change in our perspective that makes it appear to rotate. Listen for those words.
Wednesday, August 29th, 6:10 a.m. Mountain Time, 2018. Looking at the moon from southeast Phoenix under clear skies. It's over in the west-southwestern sky. Looking at it from a perspective of, has it rotated? People are asking me, I'm getting a lot of questions from people about, has the moon tilted? Is something wrong with the moon? We're going to take a look at that later on today in a different video. I wanted to show you what the moon looked like from my perspective out here in southeast Phoenix. And we'll see if the moon has indeed tilted in some way, or has our perspective from the Earth, our perspective of the moon, has it changed, causing it to look like it's tilted? We'll look at all the possible variables later on today. Thanks for watching, guys. Have a super day, and be safe out there.
Notice how he zooms in on Tycho crater at the 9 o'clock position right here at the end of this video.
Friday, August 31st, 8 a.m. Mountain Time, 2018. Looking at the moon from southeast Phoenix. This is video number 2 of a 2-part series. As of the last couple of weeks, I've been getting many inquiries about the moon possibly tilting, looking different, from people all over the world. So what I've done is taken a look at the video, comparing it to the screenshot just simply at moongiant.com, which is a very good website for moon information. Today you can see we're at a 77% illumination, wanting gibbous. And the illumination always changes. Should the orientation of the moon change with regard to a tilt? Well, if you look at the picture, and granted, it's a picture of the moon appears different from the Earth all the time. It depends on perspective, whether it's day or night. There's a lot of factors involved. But as you can see, what we're looking at today, compared to the picture at Moon Giant, the Tycho crater in the Moon Giant photograph at the website is at the 6 o'clock position. In this video, you're seeing the Tycho crater at the 9 o'clock position, which would imply a 90-degree tilt to the right. That's what we're seeing today, right now, as I do this video. It does not match perfectly with Moon Giant, or at least their still shot of the moon. We only see one side of the moon. As far as ever seeing the backside, no. But our perspective of the side of the moon that we do see does change from time to time based on illumination. But as far as it tilting like this, it does appear that it, at least right now, has tilted to the right.
90 degrees. As far as the second moon that the Earth has,
and then he goes on to talk about the Earth having a second moon. That's one of his ways about throwing in other details that are beside the point. Whether or not we can see the backside of the moon is beside the point. When I ask him about the sunspots rotating clockwise, he starts talking about how I have a welding hood, and you can look through a welding hood, a number 10 solar filter, and safely look at the sun. He does this to throw people off. It's going squirrel to get people with the attention span of a goldfish to forget what the question was by the time he gives you the answer. So what we're about to go over is a demonstration that illustrates a 45-degree slant of the axis of the Earth and the equatorial plane creates the perception of 90 degrees worth of rotation over the course of 12 hours. What you can see here is 120 degrees of clockwise rotation in the course of 9 hours. And if you do the math, that creates 160 degrees worth of rotation over the course of 12 hours, which would put the angle of the axis of the Earth at 80 degrees. Clearly something must be wrong with my math. And in the last video I posted, someone said if the axis of the Earth had tilted that far, everybody, in all caps, everybody would notice, and there would be earthquakes and volcanoes and tidal waves, etc. I had at least 50 people give me that same comment when I started showing electricity coming up out of the ground, burning the trees from the inside by the trillions, that if this were really happening the way you're telling it, everyone would notice. That's what you would imagine, and that's what I would have imagined too, until the evidence showed otherwise. 7 years later, I don't get that comment anymore. If this was really happening, what do you think, you're the only one who can see it? If this was really happening, everyone else would notice too. And then they have other imaginary ideas of what else would have to be happening if that were true, from earthquakes to volcanoes to tidal waves. You can see it in the sun, the moon, the stars, and, as I'm about to show you, the light line of the Earth and the 3:25 a.m. sunrise. Forget what you imagine would happen in such a scenario. Don't allow that to be the reason why you discard the evidence that all points towards it. We have 6 degrees of indicators, 6 different indicators. The apparent clockwise rotation of the sun, the moon, the 3 kings of Orion's belt, the diagonal light line going across the face of the Earth, the 3:25 a.m. sunrise, and now the reversal of the ocean currents. All of these things point toward a physical pole shift, the tilt in the axis of the Earth.
Days ago. I want to share with you guys some more photos and video footage of the early morning twilight. Rennie out of Spruce Grove, Alberta, looked up and saw this at 3:25 a.m. this morning. Are you serious? Look at that sky. But I'm going to show you something here in a minute that may explain what's going on. I mean, as we all know, in the summertime in the northern hemisphere, the sun comes up earlier. We get that. That's not anything new. It just seems like it's coming up extra early this year. That's all. I noticed it again this morning myself from right out here in Arizona. Going from Alberta over to the United Kingdom. These photos were sent in by Neil. This first photo was taken at 2:46 a.m. Are you kidding me? 2:46 a.m. And he also noticed that cylinder-looking object up in the sky, too, as he took the photo from Manchester, United Kingdom. He actually took these photos on the 16th. These would have been yesterday morning. And the next photo he took at 3:32 a.m., about 45 minutes later. And you can see the sky was getting even brighter. Keep in mind, this is 3:30 in the morning, and it's daylight. 3:30 in the morning. And the next photo he sent in, 3:50 a.m., 6/16/2024, Manchester, United Kingdom. Straight up daylight outside, and it's not even 4 o'clock in the morning. And going from the United Kingdom to right over here in Arizona, I took these photos this morning myself, photos and video footage of the eastern sky at 4:16 a.m. In fact, I've got the metadata to share with you guys right here, 4:16 a.m., June 17th. I took that photo this morning looking down the street. That's east. You can see mountains over there. There's no city lights over there at all. That's all rugged mountainous terrain over there and desert. And as you can see, the twilight was bright as it could be at 4:16 a.m. Either nautical, astro twilight, maybe civil twilight. All I know is it was getting daylight. Here's a photo I took. It was starting to get daylight at 4:16 a.m. right out here in Arizona. Very, very early. It just seemed early to me. And then about 3 hours later, same part of the sky over here in the southeastern sky, I walked out of the garage and saw this in the southeastern sky. So at 7:45 a.m. So back to the twilight. We've been seeing twilight as early as 2:46 a.m. in some parts of Canada, the United Kingdom. And as I mentioned at the beginning of the video, article over here at space.com and many other places, and these articles were going around June of 2023. It goes on to say humans are pumping out so much groundwater that it's changing the Earth's tilt. Earth's tilt has changed by, check this out, 31.5 inches between 1993 and 2010. That's 17 years because of the amount of groundwater humans have taken from the planet's interior. In that period, humans have removed 2,150 gigatons from the Earth's natural reservoirs in the planet's crust. And this was a measurement that was taken between 93 and 2010. We're now in 2024, and what if we're now starting to see signs of this tilt in the early morning twilight? Brian shared this GOES satellite loop with me, and you can see how steep the angle is of the sunlight. Look at that. Maybe that's what's going on. Maybe the low angle is allowing the light to appear first up here in Montana and Idaho before it does in North Carolina. It just seems kind of odd because my friend Nelson sent in a sunrise from the other day, and he wasn't seeing twilight until about 4:45. When people up in Montana and parts of North Dakota were noticing twilight at around 3:45. So maybe the tilt is much steeper at the present time than it normally is. I know that out here in Arizona, the sun seems to be coming up earlier, at least with regard to the twilight. The twilight is definitely coming up earlier. So I came over here to the GOES 16 and was looking at the angle myself, and you can see it does look very steep, as it always does in the summertime. The sun angle changes back and forth. In the wintertime in the northern hemisphere, the sun angle will be going this way. It'll be going from left to right. And you can see now it's going from right to left. It just seems excessively steep, that's all. Here's another view, a full disk view of the sun angle. And if you watch this entire feed, you'll notice the top of the Earth never gets dark, stays light the entire day, right up there. Check that out. So it seems like to me that the Earth is tilted a little more than usual, and that's what's possibly causing these twilight anomalies that we're seeing in various places across the northern hemisphere. Thanks for the photos and videos, guys.
So with the Earth on a 23.5 degree tilt, which it always has been, you would expect to see that amount of rotation in the sunspots over 12 hours. You would see 46 degrees, twice as much as the 23.5 degree angle of tilt. You would see a total of 47 degrees over 12 hours, not 120 degrees in 9 hours. Likewise, with the angle of the light line crossing the face of the Earth, yes, it has some tilt. It always has. But now that tilt is far greater, and I'm going to show you a demonstration which allows you to be able to perceive this. Here's a quick demonstration of why I think the sun, moon, and stars appear to do a 90-degree clockwise rotation, as Mr. MB3 just showed with the sun, because we're able to see that line of sunspots. Imagine this is the spherical Earth. You don't need a flat Earth to understand this concept. Spherical Earth, this is the equator. But instead of just spinning around, the Earth is now tilted at 45 degrees. So it's spinning like this. Imagine yourself on a giant merry-go-round. As the Earth spins, here's the constellation of Orion out here. We spin, and the guy standing on this edge goes past the constellation of Orion, but on a tilted axis to a point of 45 degrees. It used to be 27 degrees, or 23.3 degrees, 66.6 degrees. Ooh, shudder. So, at that angle, when it's just barely coming over the left-hand horizon, it's tilted 45 degrees. This is a vertical pillar right here. 45 degrees to the right. You have to tip it to the left to get it even with the plane. As we spin, as you see the stars go throughout the night or the sun go throughout the day, by the time it reaches the other horizon, it's 45 degrees to the left. You have to tilt it to the right to get it even with the plane. This is what happens with the objects in the sky as the Earth spins, is that they appear to shift 90 degrees. It's 45 degrees to the left, you have to shift it 45 degrees to the right to get it even with the plane again. It's 45 degrees to the right, you have to shift it 45 degrees to the left to get it even with the plane again. So, when it does the full circle over the Earth, over the course of the night, it appears to do a 90-degree clockwise turn. So now we've established a 45-degree angle in the axis of the Earth creates the perception of 45 degrees of rotation from one limb, from one horizon up to the zenith, and another 45 degrees of rotation from the zenith down to the other horizon. A full 12 hours of rotation of the Earth creates the perception of 90 degrees worth of rotation, twice the number of the angle of the axis of the Earth. So when you see this picture, 7 a.m. to 4 p.m. is 9 hours. And you can clearly see that that line of sunspots has rotated way beyond 90 degrees. On the left, it's below the 9 o'clock position. On the right, it's probably closer to the 2 o'clock position than the 1 o'clock position. But if it's just at the 1 o'clock position, from 9 on the clock, on the picture on the left, from the 9 o'clock position, over to the 1 o'clock position is 120 degrees worth of rotation. Each number on the clock represents 30 degrees worth of rotation. So, between the 9 o'clock position on the left and the 1 o'clock position on the right, that's 120 degrees within 9 hours. That means it's rotating at 13.33333 degrees per hour. And you only have 9 hours there. You have another 3 hours until you get the full 12 hours of rotation, which will give us the ability to calculate the angle of the axis of the Earth. So you take the 120 degrees, and it's clearly even further than that, but we'll just do some conservative math here. You take the 120 degrees that it's rotated in 9 hours, divide 120 by 9, you get 13.33333. So you've got 3 more hours to add on to that. At 13.3 degrees per hour, that equals 39.99999. Let's just call it 40 degrees of perception of rotation of those sunspots over the next 3 hours will give us how far it's rotated within the full 12-hour span. That 40 degrees plus the original 120 equals 160. Divide that by 2, it equals 80. That's what the axis of the Earth would be calculated at based on the perception that we can see from these sunspots, because it's measurable. You can see it on the face of the sun. Measure how far it's rotated between the hours of 7 a.m. and 4 p.m. Extrapolate that out for the full 12 hours, and it equals 160 degrees of rotation, which means the axis of the Earth would be at 80 degrees. So people that say, if that were true, then there would be earthquakes and tidal waves and all this other shit. Fuck what you heard, believe what you see. That's just what you would imagine. If the electricity was coming up out of the ground, everyone would notice. Yeah, that's what I would have imagined too. But that's not what's happening. We can see it in the sun, the moon, the stars, the three kings of Orion's belt, only visible in the months of November and December as you watch them go overhead. And they do the same 90-degree rotation, rising vertical on one horizon, setting horizontal on the other. But in the moon and the stars, you can't get the precise calculation that these sunspots give us the ability to do, because we know how far apart. In fact, one of these photos was taken at 3:45 p.m., not 4. So anyway, just for doing some rough math, there's probably something out of whack here with my math. There's probably some sort of geometry and calculus that works into it. But just based on the demonstration I gave you, where 45 degrees of angle creates the perception of 90 degrees rotation from one horizon to the other horizon, that would mean this is 160 degrees worth of appearance rotation. Divided by 2, that means the angle of the Earth is at 80 degrees. I know you think, oh, well, if that was to happen, what I imagined was that there would be tsunamis and tidal waves and earthquakes. To hell with what you imagined would happen. This is what the data is showing us. Measurable. And now we have the reversal of the ocean currents, the SMOC, the Southern Meridional Overturning Current. I mistakenly referred to it as the AMOC, the Atlantic Meridional Overturning Current. There's only 2 of those currents on the globe, and I referred to the wrong one. It's the one around Antarctica rather than in the northern hemisphere, which is actually a greater driver of Earth's weather than the Atlantic Meridional Overturning Current. I've already uploaded this other video that I haven't clicked over to public yet. I titled it Real Talk Geophysical Pole Shift. And in that video, there are 2 video links. I will also include them in the description and pinned comment of this one. Earth's axis has tilted 60 degrees, creating a 120 degree perception of rotation. I should retitle that now, that Earth's axis has tilted 80 degrees, creating 160 degrees worth of perception of rotation. The other one is titled, Your Redemption Draws Near When These Signs in the Heavens Appear. One of them's 25 minutes, one of them's 45 minutes. If you don't have an hour and 10 minutes to spend educating yourself on these subjects, then you're in the wrong saloon, partner. I referred earlier in my previous video to a video titled Fake Wars, Plasma Fire, a few other things. The C-19 operation, the big picture of it all, where I also included some of these clips from these 2 videos referring to the tilt of the axis of the Earth. If you want to know just about the tilt of the axis of the Earth and not the big picture, why they would also be creating fake wars and fake demics as dry runs to prepare for the lockdown they're going to have to eventually implement when people start to figure out what's going on here. If you want to know just about the angle of the axis of the Earth, these 2 videos will help you understand. Now back to the beginning of the video. When I asked about the possibility of a geophysical pole shift being what is the cause of the appearance of those rotating sunspots, and the brilliant person in the comment section said, no, in a previous stream he already said that it's not geophysical, it's just magnetic. Let's listen to what he really said. The exact opposite.
Red Bravo, do you think Antarctica ocean reversal is related to the pole shifting? You know, that's a great question. I thought about that myself, but I quickly removed that thought, because if that were the case, that would probably involve a geophysical magnetic shift, and we don't even want to talk about something like that. Talk about changing the Earth. We can deal with changes in the weather and be prepared for that and just kind of get out of the way. A geophysical pole shift, we don't want no part of that. So hopefully that's not the case. I don't think a magnetic reversal would have enough horsepower to redirect an aspect of the mighty Southern Ocean. But then again, stranger things have happened. The scientists were not even prepared for this. They didn't know this was going to happen. But good question. I thought about that. Yes, I sure did. Achy.
So, in that video that I just showed you titled Geophysical Pole Shift Real Talk, I referred to the fact that Mr. MB3's live stream got cut as soon as I sent him that super chat asking about the rotation of the sunspots being correlated to a geophysical pole shift, and he confirmed and validated, yes, we expect to see some rotation of those sunspots in a clockwise fashion in accordance with the 23-degree angle of the axis of the Earth, but if we were to see more than that 23, you might even see 45 degrees worth of rotation in those sunspots because it's double the angle of the axis of the Earth. We've already established that. So when the Earth's axis is at 23.5, we will see 47 degrees worth of rotation in those sunspots over the course of 12 hours. But if you were to see more than that, like 120 degrees worth of rotation in 9 hours, then yes, that would be indicative of the shift of the Earth. Right after he said that, he got his live stream cut. And he's going to tell you about it here. It seems like a control room operation that came in and kicked him off the live stream. He's going to tell you about that.
Oh, there we go. Okay. Had a little bit of resistance, but worked through it. Had some resistance yesterday. Which was kind of weird. I gotta be honest, it was some weird resistance. Never seen anything like it. Looked like a control room. Sorry about that. Okay, here we go, guys. Never seen anything like it. Looked like a control room. Sorry about that. Okay, here we go, guys.
We're gonna get. He's referring to his live stream yesterday where he got cut off and they just clipped his feed right after I asked him about the rotation of the sunspots in a clockwise motion, and he confirmed, yes, that would be indicative of a geophysical pole shift if those sunspots rotate in a clockwise fashion farther than the expected amount that is in accordance with the 23-degree angle of the axis of the Earth.
Book. Starting to write a book, and I think that's what happened with my computer yesterday. I'm not sure. Something weird happened with my computer. When I was in the middle of the live stream, I had the monitor, which is over here now on my right. This is where you guys are at. This is where I'm seeing the super chats come through, and I can see the comments come through. Thanks again, Team Alaska, Gwendolyn, Linda, Dawn. But I'm writing a book. But what I've been doing is having the screen up there airplayed on a different monitor. And this one's hardwired, so it's probably why it's got a little better connection. I think when it was airplayed, it was exposed. And I think it got temporarily hacked because when exposed, I saw what looked like the inside of a room, and it wasn't my room. Very weird. Oh yeah, very weird. So now we're hardwired. This monitor is hardwired to my laptop. So we are super secure. So we're good. Something happened weird yesterday, guys, and that's why I didn't go back on. Because it kind of freaked me out a little bit. I'm like, wait a minute, man. Who is that? And then it just went away. And I'm like, there ain't no way I'm going back on. So the information that's going in my book is now over here on an external hard.
And ironically, after I uploaded that video yesterday titled Geophysical Pole Shift Real Talk, I referred to these things moving through the sky that leave what Deadeye Customs YouTube channel calls ion bleed off. And I referred to them like boat leaving a wake on the water, like planetary, asteroids, something pressing up against our atmosphere, leaving a trail behind it. I referred to those, and then I watched this video by Mr. MB3 where he shows exactly that happening and describes it in a very similar way.
Notice something unusual in the sky. To me, this is way more
a hole punch cloud. In fact, I'm not so sure I'm on board with how the hole punch cloud phenomena even works anyway. But check this out. You see something over here in the sky that has a very definitive shape. That's what caught Heath's attention. And then it's what he saw behind it that's what made him get out his video camera and start recording. 7/5 of 2025. He zooms in on this feature that's, I don't know, kind of shaped like what? Guitar pick, maybe? It doesn't look like a random cloud, right? Looks like it's of intelligent origin. Oh, wait till you see what's up here. Looks like this thing, as you're going to see here in just a minute, I zoomed in on the left, the original vertical videos over here on the right. Now he's going to turn his device, recording device, to the right. Look what he sees. Big old trail in the sky. Spans way across the sky, as if this thing, whatever it was, hit the atmosphere, was moving at a high rate of speed through the atmosphere, departed or impacted, whatever, right over here. It turned, left that signature in the cloud bank of its shape, and the clouds identified its shape. Heath just happened to be standing out there at the right place at the right time, and there it was. As it departed, maybe it didn't go all the way down to the surface. There it is again. How do you define that? It's like a spade behind it. It's very telling. Here it is in a different format, and you can see the trail connects to whatever that was in the sky above Australia 6 days ago. There it is right there. This is in a different format. You can see it curved and stopped right there. It didn't actually curve. It did like a hard pivot, like it hit the atmosphere, stopped almost immediately after a 90-degree left-hand turn, and there it sat. Or it disappeared, whatever it was. Look at that. Look at the trail behind it. They're connected. Now, those probably didn't last very long, the trail, because there's winds up there. So he just happened to be outside right after this event occurred. Right over there. See how it pivoted? It went down and then just kind of stopped. Again, truth is stranger than fiction. Our skies are trying to tell us a story. Like these weird flashing lights around the world, they're trying to tell us a story too. There's something going on up there. No way, man. Here's another format, and it brings it out even more. Looks like an elongated, I don't know, guitar pick is how I would describe it. But being up in the sky, that feature right there was probably 10,000 feet. Difficult to say. I would say 10,000. So probably 100 feet wide, or at least 100 feet long, probably 50 feet wide. And then here's the trail it left behind as it came just barreling through the atmosphere. Look at that. That's not from an airplane. That's from the object. Right there. It's totally obvious. Yay, Heath. Good job, man. The vacation that I made. Look at that. There's your guitar chip or pick. Isn't that wild? I mean, from this perspective, it almost looks like it's still sitting there. I don't think it was. Maybe it was. I don't know. Unreal. And you can see how it did the pivot, went down, stopped, and then went right there. Like it had air brakes, went down and did the pivot. There's the trail again. Totally cool. Something entered the atmosphere from somewhere, and it came in above Victoria, Australia. Right there it is. Outstanding footage by Heath, once again from Victoria. And that occurred just 6 days ago. Be 7.
The reason I bring this up is because in that video, Geophysical Pole Shift Real Talk, I bring up these things that I recorded going through the sky. There's 5 of them that merge into 3, and they start out staggered and separated, and then they end up in a perfectly straight line like they fell into formation, and I explain why. Because the lead object breaks the surface tension of the air, of the drag that they experience when they press up against the atmosphere, creating less drag for those that are behind, allowing them to catch up to the point where they're all equally pushing against the atmosphere, rather than the lead one feeling more resistance and drag than the ones behind it. Unfortunately, I recorded it in sepia tone. Here it is in 4x. I'm playing it in 4x speed. You can see that there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 different puffballs in the sky, all leaving a trail behind them. And they're all staggered out, separated from one another. There's 1, 2, 3, 4 there. There's one down low and falling back behind the pack. There's one up above. And then they all get lined up together. Right there, there's 5, maybe 5 separate ones. And when they come close together, their cloud envelope merges with the one next to them like they're sharing a wake. And here, you can see they've all caught up. They've turned into 3 large puffballs, all leaving these bleed-off trails behind them. So when I refer to these things in the video that I will make public right after I upload this one, titled Geophysical Pole Shift Real Talk, this is what I'm referring to, is these things in the sky that I included in a video titled Interplanetary Plasma Fire, Part 2, where I also show you the ones from, come on, in this video, Interplanetary Plasma Fires Part 2, I go over a bunch of them from Deadeye Customs channel. You can see there's something in the clouds there up above, leaving a boat wake behind it as it slides across our atmosphere. Many of these things are in a cube shape. And these are all from his home security camera, where he notices it looks like there's these things sliding through the sky, leaving a trail behind them like a boat wake. He calls it ion bleed-off trail. You can see many of the cubes right there in this collage that he made. And so in the description of this video, I will link, here's a good one. That image on the left shows you the lead asteroid identified and labeled, the path that it's moving along, and the cube that is associated with it. And these things often travel in packs. That's why he has the tag lead asteroid, because then there's others that trail behind the lead asteroid along with the cube. So I'll include this link in the description to Interplanetary Plasma Fires Part 2. And in the description of Interplanetary Plasma Fires Part 2, you'll find a link to Deadeye Customs channel where you can go see many of the documentations that he's made of these things that move through our sky and press up against our atmosphere, much like what I recorded myself with my own camera, which you're seeing now on the screen. Much like what Mr. MB3 just showed, and it was coincidental that I had brought that up in the Geophysical Pole Shift Real Talk video. I brought up these things moving through the sky, leaving a trail behind them, in reference to Oumuamua and this new thing, this new interstellar object that's coming through our solar system, only the 3rd one in all of recorded history, and what these things might be. And then coincidentally, Mr. MB3 shows something very similar to what I'm referencing here. The original, as you saw the title of right there, well, it'll show it here in a second. Anyway, linked in the description of Interplanetary Plasma Fires Part 2 is the original video that I'm showing you here with these things moving through the sky, called Space Force with a question mark, Stellar Cores question mark, God's Army question mark. In Interplanetary Plasma Fires Part 2, I just show you parts of it. If you want to watch the whole video, it's linked in the description of Interplanetary Plasma Fires Part 2. That's how all of my videos are, like a Russian nesting doll. Links within each video that lead to other videos that are on related topic of the subject matter covered in that video. Notice how they're all staggered apart, and by the time you get to the end of the video, see right here, they're separated into like 6, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. There's at least 5 different puffballs right there, maybe even 6 right there. 6 different separate bodies, but they're all smaller. By the end, they've merged into 3 large ones, and they're all in an even line. And they're all, yes, they're all leaving a trail behind them. The ion bleed-off trail effect. Come on, we want to see them lined up. Look. And then I walk over here and I pan over to my neighbor who's in his front yard, who probably thinks I'm crazy for looking at the sky. Meanwhile, that motherfucker's sitting over there obliviously unaware. So when you tell yourself, I think if this was really happening, everybody would notice. Shut the fuck up. Wake up. People don't notice shit. This can be in the sky right above their heads, and they go about watering their grass, thinking there's something wrong with me for noticing what's in the fucking sky above our heads. The electricity coming out of the ground, the trees burning from the inside, houses turning to a fine white dust, and cars melting next to unburned trees because they're made out of a more conductive material that draws that electrical current coming up out of the ground. The angle of the axis of the Earth could definitely be tilted and people not notice. There's my neighbor. Well, let's look at that again. He's busy over there doing some yard work. He's got his priorities straight. He's noticing what he should be. He's keeping his eyes on the road. He's got his shit all together. Thinking that I'm the one that somehow got my priorities out of line because I'm looking up at the sky. And they're like, what? Ain't nothing up there but the blue skies and clouds. You need to keep your head out of the clouds, man. Pole couldn't shift. Everyone would notice. Get the fuck out of here. They're all comatose, animated walking corpses. So as to not end it on such a hostile and belligerent note, this is another piece from Mr. MB3's recent live stream where he shows you this boomerang craft in the sky sent in by someone anonymous. The person who sent in this photograph was anonymous, but Mr. MB3 has seen one of these things himself. And we are in the process where there is a breakaway civilization like that of Elysium, where a space-based, space-faring Type 1 civilization is intermingled with our own, a breakaway civilization that exists in the same physical space as us, but lives in a completely different world. They know about the sun tunnel. They know about the airborne aircraft carrier and the Black Dot craft. They know about these other exotic technologies that are trying to reintegrate. Some people that are part of the breakaway civilization want to reintegrate with the rest of society, get us caught up to speed with where they are on their growth and development curve. Other people within the breakaway society want to keep the separation and division. And I kind of now empathize with the people that want to keep the separation. I used to think we were all the same. I used to think all you got to do is show the people the truth and they will respond appropriately. They will respond just like I do. All you got to do is show them. 7 years later, I know that's not the case. We came here to help these people. They don't want our help. They just want to keep doing what they're doing. Cue Ball told me when I took my trip to Independence, Missouri 6 years ago. Said we call ourselves kindred, we came here to help these people, but they don't want our help. They just want to keep doing what they're doing. If I knew then what I know now about the walking zombies around me, I would have taken the offer when the ladies of Elysium told me, just come with us. I said, I got to go get these kids back to the garden. She said, no, baby, just come with us. We got the kids. We went back and forth multiple times like this. Finally, she gets me out of the car, says, come here, let me show you. Opens the door to her SUV, leans forward the seat, and shows me a couple kids in the back seat. She says, told you, baby, we got the kids. Just come with us. I said, no, glad you got those kids, but I got to go back and get some of these other kids back to the garden. Okay, fine, do it your own way. And then later on, the cop tells me, I know you're here for a reason, and you've been trying to do things your own way for a while. If I knew then what I know now about you people, I would have never come back. I would have accepted their offer and gone with. My best hope is that if and when any of you receive an offer, you will know that is the only option you have. There is no, I'm good, I'll figure something out. I'll make it work here just with me and my friends and my family. If the offer is shunned, you might as well be walking on the sun. Let's watch some Mr. MB3 real quick.
7. I saw this. I didn't see this in time, this one here, but it's exactly what I saw the morning of October 18th of 2017. I saw that in the sky at 5:10, 5:15 in the morning. It was flying through the sky, heading towards where Polenta is at over in California. I'm in Arizona. I just happened to look up at the right time. Polenta Forest, thank you. And this was headed towards Polenta in the sky. Thank you for the super chat, Polenta. It looked exactly like this, but it was a little darker. This photo was sent in by an anonymous person. I saved it simply because I saw something like this myself. It was moving very, very quickly. It was about as big. In fact, I couldn't believe how big it was. The only reason I saw it, and these are real, guys. I promise you these are real. I've seen two by sheer accident. It's by sitting outside in the morning, drinking coffee early in the morning in the fall. I don't go out too much during the summer, and have coffee because it's just too hot. But in the fall, it feels nice. The temperature's in the mid-50s, low 60s. To sit outside and look at the stars and drink coffee, it's great. Well, I wasn't expecting to see a boomerang fly over my head, but I did. It was flying from southeast to northwest, right towards Sacramento, California, or at least the Pacific West Coast. It was exactly that big. The top of it had 5 openings. And they were openings. They were dull orange lights, very dull orange, light orange, not bright orange, not red, not pink, not blue, dull orange. Why is my... I don't know. I got my goals somehow. Hey, book.